Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar brought to you by WorkHero and PracticeERP. We are thrilled to have this collaborative webinar and bring you the topic on CPA burnout. We hear about this in the news. We want to acknowledge that this is a real phenomenon. And so Dave Owen and Dirk Shimpaw are here today to help you reclaim your time, reduce the administrative drain, and help you refocus on your clients, because we know that's what you really want to do and why you have an accounting firm in the first place. So thank you all so much for joining us today. I'm Liz Brigson. I'm really happy to be here as your host, and I'll be here with you throughout the whole program. As we get started, there's a few things I'd like to highlight to help you get the most out of the program. So for our returning guests, Joel, Darren, Sheila, and Victor, welcome. We're so happy you're here. They have already said hello and let us know where they're joining from. They are ready to go for a great program. And if you haven't had a chance to say hi yet, or if you're new here, we really enjoy making our programs interactive. We have some experts with us today. So if you have questions, use cases, things that you'd like some feedback on, we have a limited amount of time, but we'll do our best to help answer those questions. And you can go ahead, just if you want to warm up, find that questions box and feel free to let us know where you are joining from. You can download the presentation from the GoToWebinar control panel. Today's webinar is 1 hour. We'll launch 4 polling questions, and you'll want to respond to at least 3 of those 4 polling questions in order to earn your CPE credit. You'll be able to access your CPE certificate directly from your Corsa dashboard. I want to say hi to Karen joining us from Texas, Lisa also in Texas. If you are on LinkedIn, we would love to connect, and I would highly recommend connecting with Dirk, connecting with Dave. Follow PracticeERP, follow WorkHero, and you can continue the conversation. You'll learn a lot today, but what you'll learn today is only the beginning of what we hope will be some solutions that will really help you move the needle for your practice. I'd like to introduce to you our sponsors today. WorkHero provides an intelligent document management solution, and it brings together all of your scattered documents, your chats, your emails, your contracts into smarter workflows. So we'll show you exactly what that means today. It's really powerful, and just to think about all the different tools and systems and apps that you use, as many of you can bring together, it really helps to focus. So WorkHero even includes things like e-signatures and co-authoring. We'd like to thank PracticeERP for introducing to us WorkHero. PracticeERP has been a longtime partner of Incorsa. They provide all-in-one CPA firm management software. It takes the hassle out of day-to-day operations, and it allows you to focus your energy where it matters most. So you can get access to an all-inclusive platform, and that includes your CRM, client management, time and expense tracking, billing, and more, all in one place. Dirk Shimpaw is a CPA with well over a decade in business management. He has 20 years in CRM, ERP accounting software, and he is the founding partner of Go Virtual Office and PracticeERP. So Dirk, we're thrilled to have you here to take your time to share your experience with us. And Dave Owen is the president of WorkHero, based in England. Dave has over 20 years in IT software. He has a passion for delivering innovative solutions, fostering strong relationships, and leveraging experience to drive excellence. So we're thrilled to have you both here for the program today. And Dave, I'll go ahead and turn things over to you first.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Liz. Hello, everyone. There are so many people from different places. Welcome to our webinar, CPA Burnout is Real. As Liz says, I'm Dave Owen, president of WorkHero. I've been working in the accounting sector for the last 15 years, helping practices of all sizes, whether it's small, medium, or large, working right the way up into the top 100 space. And as you heard, joining me today is Dirk. Thrilled to have Dirk here as the CEO of PracticeERP. It's an industry that is really demanding, and the topic of burnout isn't just timely, right? It's critical. Many of you have no doubt feeling the pressures of a profession that's constantly evolving, yet often held back by outdated processes and outdated technology. So our goal today isn't just to talk about the problem, but we really want to challenge some traditional thinking, don't we, Dirk? We want to offer practical, actionable strategies, not only to reduce burnout, but to help you thrive. So we're here to share our unique perspectives, as Liz was alluding to here, as technology integration partners who believe in a new paradigm for CPAs, one that brings together the best of breed in a way that truly unifies your operations. As Liz alluded to, Dirk, solving problems as broad as practice management for CPAs and with your own history, this topic must resonate deeply with you, right?
It does. I mean, there is so much change going on in this space right now, with not just technology, but the AI is very big right now in this space, as all over. The same thing with private equity rolling in. So there is just so much coming at CPA firms and leadership today, trying to juggle all this and still do their their day-to-day job. Is a lot. But the flip side of that is you can't ignore it either. So you have to kind of take it head on and be very proactive. These are some of the things we'll kind of talk about today.
Absolutely. And I think on that note, the agenda, so let's talk about that. What we're going to cover today is designed to move from identifying the core issues and providing tangible solutions. So we're going to dive into the cost of burnout and examine how fragmented systems directly impact your firm's health and your team's well-being. Next, we'll discuss assessing your technology landscape, offering a structured approach to understand where you currently stand and identify opportunities for improvement. Then we'll move into how to create a unified client file. And Dirk mentioned earlier about AI there. That is a concept that we need to talk about. It is foundational to alleviating administrative drain and really fostering true efficiency. We'll share practical implementation strategies for adopting new technology and help your team embrace the change. And finally, we'll cap it off with a very small but live demonstration to show you how an integrated approach comes to life. Hopefully, we'll have enough time for Q&A at the end, as Liz alluded to. So our aim is really that you don't just walk away with your CPD points, but like a renewed sense of possibility and a clear roadmap to efficient and a less stressful practice. Okay, so let's start with a stark reality check. The title of this webinar was CPA Burnout. CPA Burnout was real, and it isn't just a catchy phrase, right? It's a direct reflection of the feedback we constantly hear from accountants, isn't it, Dirk? And I think some of the examples I hear is technology was supposed to help, but the cognitive overload of it all, of managing workflows with lots of different software tools and no seamless integration is rife, and there's no easy way of centralizing communication and collaboration. There's too much time lost switching between multiple apps. I don't know if there's any examples you wanted to mention here, Dirk.
I guess when I think of burnout, or when I hear of all this burnout, right, it really comes down to, time and energy. As a leader, or, a staff accountant or manager or whoever, right, it's you've got more clients today than you used to have. You've got more projects coming at you. Things are getting more complex. And yeah, I mean, it's just we only have so many hours in a day. And we'll talk about, focus and all, having different systems and right, the goal of these systems is to make our lives easier. In the end, I think, it's proven that it sometimes doesn't if it's not organized correctly.
Yeah, totally. And there's so many more examples which we'll look at, and we'll dive into some data in a minute. But I think before we do that, we'd love to hear from you directly. So, Liz, I think we're going to start a quick poll to get their opinion.
All right, that sounds good. We'll go ahead and launch our first polling question, and we would love to hear from you in the audience. What is your top priority for tech improvements this year? So are you focused on automating workflows, centralizing communication, reducing the administrative burden, improving reporting visibility, or perhaps you're not sure? And it does look like we have a leading response. So I'm going to go ahead and close the poll down in about 5 seconds. And we'll take a look at those results very quickly. I know we have a lot to cover in our time together. So there we go. Let's take a look. with a big focus on automating workflows and then the reducing administrative burden. So all of these are great priorities, and of course, depending on where you're at, you know your priorities best, and so we'll speak to those. But thanks for sharing them.
Brilliant, thank you for sharing. And I think, Dirk, is it worth touching on that very quickly? I mean, it's fascinating but unsurprising that automating workflows comes up as number one, but I think admin burden is also absolutely key in what we're going to cover today.
Yeah, the automating workflows, we have a saying here at PracticeERP, basically right information to the right people at the right time. Again, back to that term of focus and as a team member, as an employee, you don't want to disappoint your team members, you don't want to disappoint your clients, and you need that right work at the right time to the right people to be on time to for those things. And then that, around the reduce admin burden, right? That to me, just when I hear that, I think of duplicate work, right? I do the same thing over here and I go re-enter it over here and I go do something over here. So yeah, how can we streamline some of that admin burden? And we can talk about that as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think when I'm talking to our team here at WorkHero, I always speak about our vision, and part of that is, fundamentally changing workplace productivity. And I believe absolutely deeply that no one comes to work to do admin. They want to come to work to do their high value work. And a lot of this is what we're going to be talking about today. So let's get into some stats. Something that we've found and what the data constantly shows us is that burnout is heavily driven by fragmented systems and their direct impact on, just go back a slide, their direct impact on productivity and morale. So if you think about your typical day, how many of you feel like constantly working between apps? It's rife. Our research shows that 68% of workers feel this causes them to lose time and focus. That's over 2/3 of your team experiencing daily friction just trying to do their jobs. And it's no wonder when CPA professionals often use up to 12 different systems, and that's just using them, let alone how many you have to choose from. And 38% of CPA firms cite that manual data entry and system overlap is one of the most stressful parts of their job. So let that sink in for a minute. And that cost to a business, well, we're talking 20 to 30% of their annual productivity is lost. That's a staggering amount. So maybe we'll go to another poll quickly. We've talked about that sort of structured approach to understand where you currently stand and identify opportunities and improvement coming up. But we'll do that in the next section. Before we do that and dive into that methodology, which Dirk will talk about, let's get a quick pulse from the audience.
All right, that sounds good. So here's our second polling question. How many different systems do you use to manage daily workflows? So whether that's client communication, task tracking, document sharing, and we were talking about this previously, just that you have your GL, of course, expense management, practice management, project management, taxes, you have payroll, analytics, CRM, quotes, you're managing contracts, paying the bills, tracking time. If you're managing inventory, that might be a separate solution. Communication, as Dirk had mentioned previously, but also we have our internal communication tools like our Slack, and then our external like email. Document management, e-signatures, file sharing, document authoring. I mean, the list goes on. And as you think about really each of these areas, having the solutions that you're, trying to bring together to use the apps. But I think that statistic, Dave, that you shared, that 68% of people have trouble focusing because they're flipping back and forth, that is staggering. That's a lot of time that's lost in transition. So let's go ahead and close the polling question and we'll see. I like this response here. I've lost count. Yes. So we have some friends with us today who can relate to that. The most popular response here is 3 to 5. So 3 to 5 different systems to manage daily workflows. And I wonder, as you were answering, thanks everyone for getting those answers so quickly, but I do wonder if I would have listed that whole tech stack list, if your answer would be higher, if I would have listed that first. But thanks for responding, and that really does help us just assess the technology landscape and consider where to start.
Brilliant. Okay. So if disconnected systems are part of the problem, where do you even begin to untangle this web, right? So tongue-in-cheek comment maybe, but the answer isn't to simply just buy another piece of software, is it, Dirk? Maybe it's about being more strategic and structured. So we have some steps, and maybe Dirk, you could take us through a few of those.
Yeah, thank you. Like Liz said, this is a great time of year, right? We're kind of, through the April 15th deadline and the assurance and audit season per se, and we're kind of ahead of the September and the October due dates, right? So it is a good time to kind of take a step back, kind of assess where you're at. And this technology inventory, right? There's, look through your credit card statement, go through your accounts payable bills, just start to list them out, not just for dollars, but what they do for your firm. Because what I've seen too is and we even have this in our personal life where you subscribe to something and then you forgot about it and it's still just you're getting charged for it, right? So there may be techs that you're no longer using that you're paying for, and then there's other techs out there that start to list them out, and we'll have another screenshot. You can kind of use that as a guide of different categorization and try to figure out where there's some overlap. Once you kind of understand where your techs are at, how are they being used? What departments are they being used? Is tax versus assurance using different things? So kind of figure out where these different techs are being used and who's using them. I know some people have their favorite and then it's like only one or two people use. So again, try to get an assessment of what's there, who's using it, what departments, and then are they integrated, right? Are some of them more connected or less connected than others? One way you can look for an integration or the lack of an integration is a spreadsheet. If you see spreadsheets in between stuff and people entering, that's a good opportunity to maybe reevaluate what's going on there, because we see lots of spreadsheets supporting when we have all these disparate systems. And you can poll, right? There may be some of these techs that end users really like, or aspects that they really like or don't like. So again, try to get a sense of what that is. We get, as a vendor, we get put through like an RFP process, right? So, the flip side of that is, end users kind of put together their requirements. And again, that would be something that you could do on your side. There's all sorts of examples of sample RFPs. If you would like, we can share you some of the ones that we've received as well that you could use internally. But yeah, then start to assess, what's more important, less important for a feature function process. Kind of look for gaps, and don't just kind of think about today. Where is your firm going 1 year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now? I know CAS continues to grow in importance and tax continues to lessen in importance and advisory grows, right? So, you want to be kind of focused in on I guess, where your firm is going tomorrow, a year from now, 2 years from now, when you're selecting your various solutions, and then put a plan together, right? Nothing can happen immediately. We're big believers of crawl, walk, run, right? Continuous improvement. Anytime you go down with an ERP, with a very robust, document management or another like tech solution, it's a journey. We like to use the word journey. So figure out a plan and just continuously improve. And that's kind of that monitor and irradiate So yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Dirk, for that. Following on really here, Dirk, we really want to assess the technology landscape, right? And one of the most powerful strategies to combat fragmentation and burnout is creating a unified client file. So for you, why do you think that's so critical?
So what we've seen across the number of our clients, I guess prior to converting over to PracticeERP, is there really is no system of record for a client. Sometimes it is their practice management, but sometimes they replicate that client multiple times for each project type: audit, assurance, tax, CAS, So even in a practice management solution, they don't have a single client record. Sometimes it may be their CRM if they have a CRM, but it's kind of all over the board. So yeah, why does it matter? You definitely, well, you want to reduce redundancy. So I got to enter client information over here and over there, and if the address changes, then I got to go back and change it over there, right? I mean, just that's fundamental building block stuff. But eventually, you're kind of you should know what's my profitability or my gross profit or my realization by client, and actually, is that real data? Like, is that good data? You may have some clients that aren't as profitable, right? And maybe you need to kind of focus on your A's, B's, and C's, and do some culling of your lower clients. But you need data to understand that. Another good example though is like industry or niche, right? So you may have an industry that you're really profitable in, and that kind of information can help you focus, versus you may have other industries where you're not. So again, having the centralized data and client file is super important. And then how does that work, Dave, around unstructured information, client related?
Yeah, and great insights. And I think that's where the two come together, right? So you've got this structured information that's highly valuable to the firm. But of course, I think that when we're talking about that sort of grandfather DMS, or even that kind of like embedded module of DMS that you might find in some of the older kind of one-stop shop solutions out there, the sort of monolithic type providers, where it's kind of a diluted version of document management. It's document storage, essentially. It's a digital filing cabinet, and that might have been fine for the last 10 years. But there is so much information now, and we'll come on to AI in a minute, where, in my opinion, that 80% of that unstructured work that goes on, that collaboration, that communication, that information that is essentially your CPA's IP, that is where the potential is to augment that structured data. And Workiro really comes into its own there. It's its kind of unique value proposition. Where we're fundamentally different is that we're built around the kind of entire client interaction. It's where the client lives and breathes for the modern CPA, the whole content lifecycle, consolidating to what we call, as we've been referring to, the whole client file, the 360 view in one place, preferably in your practice management system. So maybe it's worth breaking that down a bit deeper, Dirk. We go on to the next slide, and I think this kind of visually represents what Liz was talking about and the pain point that we're seeing when we speak to CPAs. This is what a legacy tech stack really looks like for many accountancy practices, and we get that it's not just burnout for CPAs. You get tech burnout, constantly trying to almost keep up with the Joneses. What tech should I use next? Everyone's trying a different bit of tech all over the place for niche applications, and we're not just talking about one or two tools here. Look at that slide. Those are all the things you could pick from and more, really, like a patchwork of dozens of disparate applications. And what you don't realize you're doing is creating silos of information across all of those tools, because they don't necessarily integrate with each other as you'd like them to. The intent is there, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with these tools. Individually, they're often good. They each promise to solve a specific problem, of course, but the reality is when they don't talk to each other in a way that sets the foundations, and you've got these information silos, you've got this forced manual data re-entry, it leads to constant app toggling we discussed earlier, and that's the very definition of a fragmented system. So Dirk, when you look at a slide like this representing a typical setup, what's your immediate thought from a ex-CPA and what you're hearing from CPAs all the time?
Yeah, what I hear is tech fatigue, right? I was recently at a Boomer tech conference, and it was basically CTOs, IT leaders of various CPA firms. And it just gets talked about all the time. It's just, what's the latest tech? When you look through this list, there is just shy of 20 categories listed here, and that's just the categories. That's not the logos within a category. But what I've seen or what I hear is, a partner at a firm or a decision maker at a firm goes and picks his thing, and then another person picks their thing, and then assurance will go get their stuff, and CAS will go get theirs, and in the end, right, it may solve that one point solution. But the other thing I hear at all these conferences is this concept of one firm, right? Let's operate as one firm, not all of these little disparate units with a book of business. And I have no idea how a CPA firm will get to the true one firm approach with this kind of screenshot with 20 different things so you really do have to get to a point you'll never get down to one, but you do have to try to whittle away over time and get to a lower and lower number of tech. And then you can focus on your clients. You can focus on your team. You'll have better collaboration internally because you'll all be looking at the same data set, the same dashboards, the same files, right? Yeah, and again, we need to talk about AI and all of this here as well coming up.
Definitely. And this is where the paradigm shift happens, right? So instead of that chaotic ecosystem of disconnected apps, you can now imagine a unified, integrated tech stack. So from the ERP side of things, you get that complete picture of the structured data, and then the other side of it, which is the unstructured data. And if you look at this, you look at the green dots and the blue dots, you can see there that you're taking out whole pieces of fragmentation and unifying the whole thing into reducing the pain. So you've got some way of now enhancing collaboration, unity across your offices and teams, which is Dirk was talking about. I often hear about a unified client view for portals. How can you do that when you're using lots of different apps across all of your different teams and departments? You get that increased efficiency through automation and improving the accountability. And I think you touched on it earlier. You need that holistic view. So you need something that gives you that total visibility across all of it. So this isn't about making things a little bit better. This is a fundamental shift that empowers your team, improves your client service, and allows your firm to finally scale through efficiency. And you've got other firms that are interested in being acquired or acquiring. And when you've got disparate tools all over the place, that's a very difficult thing to scale. So you need to think about operationally how you do that. And a lot of it is about unifying and simplifying the tech stack into something that's highly integrated. So Dirk, why don't we quickly touch on what is the difference between the traditional practice management system, that monolithic style approach to it of the businesses that you're probably well familiar of, and what's going on in this slide? What makes PracticeERP different and the way that we're trying to think about it?
So, the term that, I know you and I have talked about is structured versus unstructured data. An ERP is very much structured data. And the other part of it too is, with structured data, an ERP enforces rules, and it will ensure your financials tie out. It ensures that, your metrics, whether it's a management report, will tie to the financials. It ensures that periods are closed and people don't accidentally delete an invoice from 3 months ago, right? Different things like that. What you're seeing here on the slide is just another representation, mostly around practice management in ERP, where like a CCH or a Thomson Reuters have not touched their solution in 20 years, like poor reporting, doesn't talk to anything. They don't let anybody in or out. So there's dual entry into their CRM, or their workflow is where they work, but then their time is over here. Like nothing is, there's no collaboration between any of these systems. And then their financials is typically in a QuickBooks or something. And again, that's a monthly journal entry when time to go over and tie things out. And, again, they can't run real-time financials. And then normally this is all supported with Excel spreadsheets and Power BI or something else, because again, there's just no real-time, reporting here. So we do our own webinar where we talk about metrics that matter, and you need a system of truth. You need true structured data in order to get true metrics that matter.
And we'll keep going down levels here. So that was the the highest level of the showing the hairball of different systems. But what if you then chunked it down a little bit into slices? Dirk, maybe you could explain this slide for us.
Yeah, again, imagine versus this hairball of nothing talking to each other, one system of truth, one cloud application. You can easily go from a new lead to a prospect with an opportunity to client intake, and now create projects, have true workflow, right work at the right time to the right people, that can easily capture time along the way, that gets billed, that hits your general ledger for real-time reporting and dashboards. Again, that's all that structured data. And then to have, the unstructured data, Dave, which you can talk about next here, just fully visible within all of this.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you've laid out the traditional roles of practice management, and we spoke about traditional roles of document management and how that shifts now with working from tradition to the future. And when you think of what we're doing, we're fundamentally trying to redefine the client file for a modern CPA firm. So this slide represents the foundations. If you go back to that previous slide there where we had multiple apps all over the place doing very niche things, and you're having to switch between them all. Think of Workiro as one powerful app to do so much more than just document management. We've reimagined the entire client interaction life cycle. So, for example, automatic email capture. It's already there. No more manually filing emails into the system or the communications. You've got integrated editing and collaboration. So no need to mark up PDFs in a separate tool like Adobe. You can just collaborate on them directly from the client file. You can collaborate on Microsoft Office documents internally, externally, with complete equilibrium. No downloads, no separate apps, just seamless, all real-time collaboration. Task management. You shouldn't have your tasks siloed with communication. That should be integrated directly into your client matters or project or task flows as they are in PracticeERP. They need to be dynamic. They can be assigned, trackable. Those tasks need to prompt other people in the system. So much of this stuff I see happens on emails. Emails is a tool that is so old now. It wasn't designed to help you with your task management. And why do you have to get a separate task management tool outside of your existing accounting platform that's not part of your communication internally and externally? With Workiro, we have a fundamental communication layer that runs right across the entire app. So that instant chat communication there. So whether you're dealing with external client queries or internal discussions, all of that automatically logged against the client file. You don't have to save it or the software have to think about it. No more lost messages, no more fragmented conversations. That's how we see the future of the client file that is usable right now, really setting you up for where we go with AI in the future. So that's probably a good segue, isn't it, Dirk? So if we broaden that back out, we broaden our perspective for a moment and talk about tradition and versus the future, specifically in the context of tech burnout and AI. I think we're standing at the edge of a significant technological shift with AI. But there is a crucial point in this, right? Dirk, what's your opinion on this data point? Because I don't think AI can thrive with bad data.
Well, it can't. I mean, it will, it will provide answers, but you can't trust the answers that it'll serve up. And again, when I was at the Boomer conference, or other conferences, you can't go anywhere without hearing or learning about various AI or where things are going. And can you imagine? I've got this great AI tool that's is trying to read from 10 or 20 different texts. Like, how's it gonna do that? I mean, it's impossible, right? So again, you need to limit your text. You need to have some system of truth for your structured, system of truth for your unstructured data, and then put your AI layer over that. If not, the AI will be more or less useless. You'll get all sorts of phantom results.
Yeah, and if you extract that back out to content, so you think of any files just full of content that basically we're making sure we're storing it so someone else can, of course, use it. AI wants to use that context, and if you've got multiple versions all over the place already, you've got Windows folders, something like SharePoint, where you've got a filing convention where people can just create a folder out of nowhere. How is the AI supposed to understand the context of the folder, let alone the context of which version of the document it's supposed to be looking at? So your point earlier is absolutely ringing true when it comes to the unstructured data as well.
Yeah, and the example I kind of think about for sure around analytics, like you wanna ask AI, okay, for a given client, how many projects did we do last year? What was my realization on those projects, and were they completed on time, right? Well, you can't have your workflow over here and your billing over here, and again, you can have clients all over. You wouldn't be able to have it serve up nice summary reports, graphs, different things if your data's all over.
Definitely. And I think there's a mixed view on AI as well, Dirk. I think we get to see that some CPAs have embraced it already and want to leverage it more. And some are, of course, quite rightly, sometimes a bit hesitant about AI. Is it replacing my job? I don't believe this is about replacing accountants. But I do believe that if we don't fear AI, that it can really augment your business. If you can embrace it as a powerful assistant, if you like, that digital assistant that can help you remove the administrative burden and help you work towards that high value work. I was speaking to a managing partner of a firm, and they were a top 200, and he was talking about the way that some of the work now is almost becoming commoditized. So how do you actually differentiate yourself as a CPA firm? If you all offer the same service, like a tax return, at some point the technology is going to automate and assist you there to a point where it's almost like a sausage factory. So you need to be moving more towards the consultative space. And I think that as an accountant, if you don't embrace AI, it's going to replace the accountants that don't embrace AI at all. That's probably the message to take away here. So it's not about technology for technology's sake. It's about building a future-proof practice that's resilient and efficient and empowered to deliver high-value services rather than admin. So why don't we move on to a couple of real examples, real stories, Dirk. And
one more on that one, David, too. I was at a conference in May with 1,900 people in the room. It was a keynote around AI, and basically the stat that came up was 80%. You look around the room, and the stat was 80% of what you do today will be replaced by AI within like 3 to 5 years. So whatever you thought was that you think you do of value today, 80% of that is going to be replaced by AI. Now the other 20% still needs us, right? It still needs us humans to think and be creative and provide true value. But that was a startling stat.
Yeah, I think so. I think if you can, we're really talking about a world where actually the creative thinking is there, and you should just be able to say, hey, I'm about to send a letter of engagement to a construction company with 100 million turnover. Go and get me a template for that, a letter of engagement, pull in my data from a practice management system, and as software such as Workero automatically generates that for you as you're talking to it and pulls in the key information, ready to go. That's the beauty of having really good clean data sets. So Dirk, in the interest of making sure we don't run out of time here, maybe we'll just quickly go through some of these stories and cover it at sort of a high level.
Yeah, so you're basically seeing an example of one of our clients. This is what the managing partner desk looked like before PracticeERP and Workero. So CMP is a top 500 firm in Utah, and they had CCH for practice management. They didn't really have much of a workflow. Their documents were in CCH, so no real automation anywhere. Their documents were all over. Everything was fragmented, and basically within one tax season following up and going on both PracticeERP and Workero, the managing partners basically told me, like, my desk went from piles of paper to nothing. And it was just a visual example of where you can get with the right technology and the right partners. Rigby is another client of both of ours, a small boutique firm where really basically focuses on high net worth clients. And again, they wanted to present themselves as very professional, with a very robust tech stack that can very efficiently service their clients. And again, lots of wins by reducing his tech stack, and the small firm is able to operate super efficiently. And MBE is again, they're a top 200 firm. They very much represented kind of that hairball where they were on CCH, they on XEM. They had it was called Able for their CRM. Their financials were somewhere else. They used CCH Access. Again, all these different disparate systems, nothing talked to each other, and now they have that single source of truth for both their structured and unstructured data. they've continued to grow and evolve, and now they have a platform that they can go and make acquisitions, and they can roll up other firms, and there's just, again, a lot of wins for them as well.
Yeah, I think there was some crazy stat coming out of MB, I believe it was. They have a fair amount of staff using Adobe for an amount of PDF editing and collaboration, and just the costs of reducing those Adobe licenses into one app that was doing all of it through us. They basically were cost neutral on the Workiro licenses, let alone the other 3 or 4 apps that we managed to consolidate them with. So a broad spectrum, I'd say, of sort of large, medium, and smaller firm there. So it's not just exclusive to the larger firms. Sometimes, we have CPAs that think that, the latest technology or future-proof technology is only about the larger firms that have the resources to do that. There's proof there that, the smaller boutique CPAs can punch at the same level as the top 100 space by getting their tech stack right.
Yeah. The other thing I would say is unique about them compared to the other two, they have a wealth division, they have a payroll division, they have a marketing arm, they also have a kind of an M&A division, right? And again, one client, right? One single truth. All of the the documents and everything is associated, right? They don't have to go to 8 different places with even their different divisions to see all the key information about a client.
Absolutely key. So Liz, we've got another poll here.
All right, that sounds good. We'll go ahead with our third polling question. It's always neat to hear the case studies and understand how the solutions are implemented at the firm level. So let's go ahead with our third polling question. Which area causes the most frustration for your team due to lack of system integration? And maybe now that we've talked about the tangle of web and all of the different tools, maybe you're thinking a little bit differently about what lack of system integration looks like. But what is it for you? Is it client communication, document management, workflow task management, time and billing? Maybe it's all of the above. If it's something else, feel free to write in. David's with us, and David says, I've been hearing that computers will take over our jobs for a long time. If that was the case, then no one would care about the accountant shortage we have now, and it will likely only get worse in the next 5 to 10 years, but they do care. And I think that's an excellent point, right? Like, the people come first. People are needed. That's what you've both been talking about today. But using technology prudently will help make our lives better, both our lives at work and our lives, like our time that we have to spend with our families and do things. And so I think it's, good to pause, think about, like, where is that frustration coming from? Because there are a lot of options to find solutions. Let's close the poll. We hit just over 90% voted, and all of the above leads, closely followed by that workflow and task management component. So thank you, everyone.
Brilliant. There's quite a shift in thinking there. As you can see, all of the above starts to come to the fore there, which is great to see that we're sort of resonating in the conversation. So, Dirk, we don't want to spend too much time on this. As I said, we've sort of got 10 minutes left. I think it's really important, though, that we just quickly cover off some practical tips around how you go about implementing a unified system.
Yeah, I mean, when we onboard clients, again, that client data is typically in a lot of separate solutions. So we work to bring all of that into one single system of truth. And, we got to make sure we align the emails and the phone numbers and all that stuff. Once we're there, then, we're able to then associate that client and the contacts within Workiro document management. So again, now we've centralized all of the unstructured data, and then from there, there's all sorts of automation and stuff, Dave, that you can talk about with the documents and the unstructured data as well. And and now we are. It's all real time. It's all there. You can use some AI agents on it. You can run searches. You can just go to one pane of glass to see everything you want to know about a client.
Definitely. And when it comes to implementation strategies, we'd say that you've got some North Stars, right? So that those practical tips for adoption. I've seen so much success when it comes to recruiting champions. I would always say, pick your enthusiastic early adopters. They're the ones that can be your ground troops when the staff are over at the coffee machine and they're talking about the new tech. If they just need that bit of confidence, those champions in your business can really, really help. And of course, that's not just something where we say you just get your own champions. Of course, providing comprehensive training and support through the right partners does help as part of the ongoing training. And I think Dirk's already talked about the journey, that phased implementation. You don't have to change everything all at once. You can roll out new systems in stages and allow the team to adapt gradually. Or draw a line in the sand and do it in one big bang. We can make a success of both of those, but you go on your own journey that's right for your firm. So as you can see here, another stat that isn't just about making the technology work, it's making sure that people embrace it. So those sort of key strategies are really fostering team engagement. We communicate. Explain why the changes are happening. If you think that they've heard it, communicate it again, and then you'll get the buy-in right from the start, and ensure that IT and leadership are readily available, as well as those champions to answer questions and, of course, troubleshoot any issues. So I'm just going to switch over now to a live demonstration. If I just stop my entire screen now, so give me a second, you'll now see that I have moved over to a browser, and this is actually PracticeERP. If you haven't seen this already, it's the first time you see it. This is the client records. At the moment you're looking at our fictitious clients, Chuckle Checkers Chess Club, easy for me to say. So this is where you've got all of the structured data. This is all the information that you'd get in one client view. But we've sort of talked about, well, where's the sort of the money shot of the integration when those best of breed applications come together as one application. So you can see in the ribbon here, if I just hover my mouse over the button that says Work Hero, if I click on that, then inside the UI of the existing core application, the practice management system here that Dirk was talking about, that does all of those things in one place for your CPAs, you can drive straight to the file. And this isn't just a folder, this is what we call a smart folder. So at the moment you're looking at a complete client file, all broken down into the type of work. So I've got my client correspondence, I've got my tax, my internal work, and so on, all living and breathing in one place. It isn't just a document store. You can start to do the things you'd expect to do. So group it by type of work. You can group it by the document types. You can stick it into chronological order. You can start to manipulate the file as you wish. So if you wanted to look at work that's added by you or added by different members of staff, you wanted to filter the work by just stuff that you're working on or other people within the team, starts to become much easier to work with. You can start to slice and dice the file in a way that helps you work. Dirk mentioned different business disciplines within a practice is all set up so that helps you like that. So basically removing the centricity of a folder, but keeping the familiarity of those section values like you would get in folders. You can start to manipulate dates and go across the whole client file and look for the last 6 months correspondence very easily with a date range search. You can start to filter on things. So if I just start to type the word tax in there, you can see very quickly I can start to group and filter on that file. We spoke about integration points with systems. So not only have you got that easy to use document viewer across all of your documents, and that's what you're looking at here. So you can see I've got an email that's come in that's been automatically captured. I've got that entire conversation in there. It isn't just going in as one file, it's keeping it up to date on the latest version of the entire email chain. So it's automatically capturing those emails for you. Documents that come out of tax applications, so whether it's CCH or digital, we can automatically capture those documents, add the right tags and file them in the client view for you. If you wanted to add a document from here, it's simply a drag and drop. It already knows where you are, so it does the tagging for you automatically. The integration is at multiple touch points. So if someone shares you a document from different places, you can quickly drag it in as a drag and drop or select it here. And if I go to upload this file, you'll even have the AI which will come in and read the document and automatically tag it for you and put it in the right place. So what you're looking at here is that unified view that you absolutely 100% sure under version control and automation that everything is in the right place. And as you start to work with the file by clicking on a document or documents, you can see that you can start to edit these documents using the latest Microsoft functions or cloud versions of PDF editing. So if you were sending some tax collection documents via the Workiro portal, you could literally ask your client to go in and select yes or no on the document, and all of that will be captured under version control and automatically stay in the client file, even though that you shared that document externally. So if I give you an example of that and sort of leave this PracticeERP Workiro view, this is a document that I've shared earlier. We call them tasks, and it was this could be anything, right? So this could be some document collection. Maybe this is a signing off of a document, but the branding experience is totally different. So what you'll see here is that your client gets an email, they click on the link, and they get brought to this beautiful business card experience. So what your clients are expecting is a consumer grade experience, but obviously enterprise level security. They don't want to feel like they're in accounting software anymore, accounting portals. They want to feel like this is WhatsApp or the latest app on your phone, so they can literally just go straight into the application, straight off their email, go in, view the document, communicate. That communication with that live chat is all part of it. You don't have to now dip out of the attachment into an email and have to think about filing the email. It's all part of the process. They can communicate with you live. They can go in, they can sign the documents, and it's all part of that unified client view. Of course, I haven't got time to show you the full demo. It was just to give you a sort of a visual representation of what we were talking about today. And of course, if you'd like to see this at any time in the future, you can just let us know. So if I now jump back over to the main presentation, and I'll keep things moving. So one last poll, Liz.
That sounds great. So here's our fourth and final polling question. Do you want more information from Workiro and PracticeERP? So if you'd like to receive more info via email, go ahead and let us know. I would highly recommend scheduling a demonstration to see more about how these tools integrate and how they can help you with your specific use case. We're mid-year. This is a great time to spend time both on learning and on researching solutions. So go ahead and let us know. And I'd encourage you not to wait till next year, but if you need to, put it on your strategy list for next year. So go ahead and let us know. I wanted to just make a comment. As you had showed us, Dave, PracticeERP is based on Oracle NetSuite, and then Workiro integrates with that really neatly, and it's awesome. I love when we have a chance to see solutions right live in person. So we are at time. I'll go ahead and close the polling question. Thanks everyone for letting us know. Dave, Dirk, what takeaways would you like to share as we close here in the next minute?
Yeah, just, the value of, these two solutions, by the way, you would be able to eliminate, or we've seen elimination of 10 to 12 different solutions. So, and all of the things we've talked about. So I think there's just a lot of positives for firms that would take a look at us.
Definitely. And I think the main takeaway is reducing that burnout for staff. I'd say that we're even starting to hear about when staff are interviewing, and I think there's quite the recruitment crisis going on around skill sets in the accountancy space. They are actually looking at firms to see what technology they're using. So this is critically important across so many areas. So we're moving beyond just that sort of traditional document storage now to a complete client interaction record. So yes, thank you so much. We really appreciate the time you've allowed us today. Sorry that we couldn't get around the Q&As, but if there were any questions, we'll definitely come back to those. So I guess that brings us back to the end of the session. And thank you, Dirk, for the fantastic discussion. Thank you to all our guests. I hope that it has been highly valuable. Thank you again, and have a productive and burnt-out free day.
Yes, thanks everybody.